I officially have Stepfather film fatigue. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time coming your way to continue. And I think for now, end my reviews of the Stepfather films, having already reviewed the Stepfather and then the Stepfather 2. Make room for Daddy. I thought it only made sense to watch for free online and review Stepfather 3. I don't know if there's like a line after the title or not, but regardless, it's Stepfather 3. And this one until the 2009 possibly, remake, which I did try to look at on, what the hell was it when I did a search of it? Was it Sling? I did try to look at the beginning and see if it is in fact, it works. It turns out, unless I did something wrong, the version of the Stepfather remake that's masquerading on Sling TV is actually the original film from '87, unless of course I did something wrong. I'll check again, but for now this will be my last review of the Stepfather franchise because I've had it. But Stepfather 3 obviously is more of a, I would say, I don't know the history with like the sequel to Stepfather 2. I don't know if that would have been in the theater or straight to video, I don't know, but this one definitely plays like a straight to video kind of a sequel. And honestly, I guess they kind of did the beginning kind of good. It's a little like moody and like overly dramatic and stuff, very reminiscent of Batman '89 when Jack Napier goes to have his face fixed after being dropped into the vat of acid. The bad guy, the Stepfather guy, formerly played twice by Terry O'Quinn, now replaced by this other guy. The very beginning of Stepfather 3 finds the character having miraculously survived the events of the end of Stepfather 2. The same character going to have his, some plastic surgery work done on his face so he can continue searching for the perfect family in more anonymity than before. He's just changing his hair or his face or his mustache and beard or whatever might not cut it anymore. He's becoming more and more well known as he tries to search for the perfect family and killing the families that don't make the cut. So now he's got to change his face. Well, we really know why he's changing his face, because Terry O'Quinn did 2 movies and he's had it. He won't do anymore. And honestly, the guy that they did get to, replace Terry O'Quinn, he must be from the same, like, southern, portion of North America, because he has the same kind of Terry O'Quinn accent. So that was actually really, really interesting that they did that. And you gotta give him appreciate the production for at least doing that. And what happens after the overly like dramatic scene of him getting the work done on his face is, and I was actually excited, just like with the first couple films. I watched this with Beth, the captive audience member. Well, like I said, did I say it in my review of the second one? She's like we both kind of have OCP, what normal people refer to as OCD, and like you start, you do a couple movies, you got to do the third one. So we were both interested to see what the hell happens in Stepfather 3. But what ends up happening, of course, is what I was going to say is that at the very beginning of the movie, or not very beginning, but towards the beginning of the movie, what the movie starts doing this thing which I thought would have been really cool, that if it kept doing throughout the course. It would have been cool if it did it the whole movie, which was as Terry O'Quinn is kind of moving in on this like hot possible work done on her face mom. She's pretty sexy, but she looks like she had some work done on her face, which, I mean, if she's got to do it, she's got to do it or whatever, but pretty sexy mom with this kid in a wheelchair that I thought maybe the kid was really in a wheelchair because he can do that cool balancing act thing, but Beth was like, well, any kid could probably learn how to do that, and then I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. And the way the movie ends up, my hypothesis about the kid really, the actor really being wheelchair, being in a wheelchair was laid to rest. But what they did in the early part of the movie is that there's a guy moving in on this this hot mom, and I'm pretty sure there's like an ex-boyfriend of the hot mom who's like, as this one guy's moving in, who we presume that to be the stepfather character, there's this other guy who actually looks more like Terry O'Quinn than this presumed stepfather character. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So is the guy who's the stepfather character the old boyfriend who's upset about this new guy moving in? And then I was like, God, it'd be really cool if they played this movie, and they really should have done this. To really give it, to make it different from the first two films, it would have been cool to have these two guys vying for this hot mom's affections, and not knowing as the viewer which one is the stepfather. How cool would that have been, only to have it like be revealed? It'd be hard to do kills throughout the course of the movie, but these movies aren't really known for a high body count. I just think it would have been really interesting to do the whole movie like that, where these two guys are vying for her affections. One of them is the stepfather, and we don't know which one, maybe till towards the end of the movie. Unfortunately, that didn't end up happening. I was like, oh, missed opportunity. And how come they didn't have this guy who looked more like Terry O'Quinn to play the stepfather? Instead, he's the guy who was the former boyfriend of this hot mom who who isn't keen on this new guy, stepfather with the new face moving in on his turf or whatever. But that was a real kind of a bummer, unfortunately, that I really wish they would have done that. To me, it would have made the movie much more interesting than ultimately I feel it is. I can't remember all the details, but I'm pretty sure that stepfather ends up, he ends up dispatching, I won't ruin it, and I remember now the detail about where the guy who's the former boyfriend of this hot mom, where his body ends up. But obviously stepfather ends up dispatching that guy or whatever. And I think just like with the first couple films, the body count in this movie isn't necessarily that high. And it's funny how, the stepfather character, it's not a big plot point, but I guess it ends up being like the staging ground for the dramatic climactic end battle involving the wood chipper. Fargo, you didn't do it first, so there. They must have seen, Coen Brothers must have seen the Stepfather 3 on a late night, late night on cable television. But and they got the idea for Fargo. But what I was saying was the stepfather works for this what's it called? Just a place that sells plants and does maybe what's that called? Landscaping, plant stuff or whatever. So he's kind of like, it's interesting how he's always like in, like with the Godfather. See what I mean? Stepfather 2, he was masquerading as like a psychologist, shrink character, which would, technically be, universally thought of as being like a positive, profession, helping. And it's kind of interesting that he's now, watering and looking after these growing plants. So kind of like he's trying to, I might be looking too much into it, but he's kind of like, he's trying to cultivate the perfect family. And when he's not doing that, he's at work cultivating, watering these plants and stuff. I'm probably looking way too much into it, but admittedly, there's not a whole hell of a lot of stuff of any kind of real interest in this movie. It's kind of a mind wipe, unfortunately. I can remember, the hot mom, even if she has done some work on her face, is pretty hot or whatever. I'm pretty sure there's a sex scene, and where I didn't notice because I wasn't looking at the guy in the first film, but I think there's like a sex scene in the first film where Beth said the guy's face is just blank as the woman's like, on top of him or whatever. I wasn't looking at the guy because of my sexual persuasion. In this movie, the same thing. Like I couldn't help but see the stepfather character because it was like, over the shoulder. They kept cutting back and forth. There was one moment where the woman's like riding the guy, and he's just like no expression. Which it's like this is the part of the relationship that I have to just suffer and deal with. These hot women riding my pole. I hate this part of the quest for the perfect relationship. I don't quite understand that, like unless I suppose, but in the first movie they were married. I can understand why, if this guy doesn't want to have sex until they're married, why he wouldn't be thrilled about, the woman riding his pole. Then he'd be like the reluctant participant and a sexual encounter with this hot woman, hot mom. But so I don't even know where the hell I was going. I was just simply saying that I can't remember much about this movie other than the sex scene. But one thing that this movie does do that's kind of different from the first two films, I got to give him credit, is, you know, like halfway through, maybe somewhere around halfway through, he's already given up on this the hot mom and the hot mom of the kid in the wheelchair, and is already meeting a new woman. So it's kind of like halfway through the movie he's starting to juggle two women, and that's unlike as I said, the first two films. He might have started to do that. Did he do that? I can't remember. No, I can't even remember. But I think it is a difference compared to the first two films, where halfway through the movie, give or take, you know, he starts, you know, another woman comes onto his radar or whatever, and he's gonna possibly all these widows with one child. I can't remember. I can only assume that woman's got she's got a small son as well. And it's just like all these widows with one boy that just present themselves to this stepfather character. But one thing I think they knew when they were making Stepfather 3, which is interesting, is that this was going to be like the last one, because I won't spoil it, but I kind of probably already did. The way the movie ends, and I guess what happens to the stepfather character, would be very difficult for the stepfather character to come back in a Stepfather 4, you know, unless he's like, they do what they do with Chucky and after Child's Play 3. Chucky got all, you know, but of course he you know, he's just a soul, you know, doll hopping soul or whatever. But unless Stepfather, that would have been something. If Stepfather 4, his soul gets into a plant. Biollante Stepfather 4, but admittedly, you know, by the time, well before this movie was over, as I started the review with, you know, this movie was, by the time you get to Stepfather 3, halfway through, whatever, I'm pretty much in the stepfather fatigue situation. And what was kind of fun about this movie is it definitely had that straight-to-video, early 90s straight-to-video feel, very much akin to, like, you know, or full moon films that were kind of made around the same time. One thing I did appreciate about this movie, it being like straight-to-video, is it's very, you know, especially these days, but maybe not so much then, but to have a straight-to-video movie that took place so much outdoors and in the sun and stuff was appreciated by me. A lot of times, especially now, you know, a lot of the lower budget movies and stuff. I mean, look at a lot of the more recent full moon movies and stuff, where a lot of it just takes place indoors and half-ass sets and stuff. So even though it was a relatively low budget sequel, I still appreciate, you know, them filming in the presumably sunny California outdoor days and this and that. And, you know, like I say, the hot mom was fun to look at, but it's definitely a situation where, yeah, I mean, this is just like going, you know, 3 of these movies is more than I can take, because it's not Friday the 13th. My star rating for Stepfather 3, probably, yeah, it's hard to say. I'd say probably 1 3/4 stars out of 4 stars. I mean, they're definitely circling the drain at this point. As I said, I think they knew it, which is why they did kind of what they did to the stepfather character at the end of the movie. I've probably already spoiled it, but that's life on a movie review channel. It can happen, can and will happen. So by no means is the next movie review going to be the remake. As I said, I'm open to watching it, and I tried to check it out on Sling TV, and as I said, unless there was a glitch or I did something wrong, it's possible that the supposed remake on Sling TV is actually, by mistake, the original film from '87. I'm not gonna pay to see a Stepfather, you know, remake. So unless I can find it for free, I shan't be reviewing Stepfather remake. But you know, goodness knows I've had my fill of Stepfather for right now. So that'll probably, you know, do it for Stepfather films for me at this time anyway. So I guess that pretty much does it for this review. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, we'll catch you on the next video.